we should be ready.
Okay, good evening, everybody. Welcome to tonight's Borough Council meeting. I'm going to call tonight's meeting to order. Please read the sunshine notice.
Pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of the 2022 meeting dates was published in the Courier News and Burnsville News on December 9th, 2021, and posted at the Municipal Complex and the Borough Library. Action may be taken.
Okay, but before we get to the flag salute, afterwards, we're going to have a moment of silence because the last week or two, there's been quite a few tragedies around the country with shootings and a lot of victims. So we'll hold a moment of silence for that. So please remain standing after the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And for a moment of silence. Okay, thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilman Caminiti.
Here.
Council President Corliano.
Here.
Councilwoman Dietrich. Here. Councilman Lemma.
Here.
Councilwoman Murphy.
Here.
Councilman Sweeney.
Here.
Mayor Skinner.
Here. Okay, moving on to public comments, 5 minutes per person for non-agenda items. It's the policy of the Borough Council that all public comments on an issue shall be limited to 5 minutes per person. Comments may be made on any non-agenda subject pertaining to borough issues. Comments pertaining to public hearings should be saved for that section of the agenda. There'll be no debating between residents, and comments should be addressed to the mayor and council at the public microphone. So, members, and if somebody does speak, whether you're online or if you're here, we need your name and address. So, any members of the public wish to speak on non-agenda items? Is there anybody online?
There is one person online, but they're not.
Okay. Okay, seeing nobody wanted to make some public comments on non-agenda items, we'll close that. Moving on to old business. Is there any old business?
I did want to bring one thing up. Mark, I don't know how up to date you are on the signs in town. I know we're working on that, and I know we've had lots of emails, but until we have the new signs, could we take the old ones down? Could DPW take them down because they're rotted at the base? So
They are. I don't see why they can't be
what is
taken
the
down.
timing of the new signs?
We have to get, Meg was gonna set up that meeting and we gotta touch base with Meg. I think we haven't spoken to her in about a week or so.
Yeah, okay. So they're budgeted, we have to proceed with
They're
ordering
not
them?
budgeted. We were gonna use special projects money
Oh,
for that.
okay, okay.
Okay, but we're ready to roll once we come up. I think the last firm we got, the prices were agreeable to us.
Yeah,
What wasn't agreeable was an overlay for the sign in front of the Muni building. And we had
okay,
to work that out, and that was the purpose of our call.
okay.
So I don't, once we get on with the contractor, I think we can move pretty quickly.
Okay,
My thought would be leave the signs where they are for now, because once you take them out, then you're gonna start getting the questions when the new signs are coming in. And then you're gonna be answering the questions about whatever supply chain delays there are, if there are associated with it. And, plus, it's an easy way to know where we're gonna put the new one.
As long as they're not dangerous, like about to fall down, make it.
yeah, I guess not. I mean, the bases are rotted,
yeah.
so,
Why don't you want to
It's summer.
send a note to Meg? I'll send
yeah,
a
let's,
follow-up to Meg.
why don't the two of us
We'll do
reconvene
it
that
together.
with her, and then we'll bring back an updated timing.
Because I bet you we will get more comments on where are the signs versus
Yeah.
when you're replacing
Sure,
them.
that's a
And
good
we're
point.
replacing them, so.
Okay. Great, thank you.
Unless you want us to direct them all to you.
No, that's okay.
Anything else under old business? Thank you, Amy. New business. Liberty Park Playground discussion.
Okay, so the Liberty Park design did not call for substantive work to be done on the playground, and there's an opportunity now perhaps to address some of these issues. So there's 3 main items on a Chinese menu that we can discuss, and I can get some guidance from you tonight, and this will help inform me as to what direction I go. And I'll give you some of those items and some of those costs for the council to deliberate and give you guidance back. So those 3 items are going to be ground cover, the playground equipment, and fencing. So previously, there was a fence around the playground. The fence was removed. It was quite old, and we have the opportunity now to either leave no fence or put a fence back up. Putting a fence up, we have 2 options. We could use what's referred to as an aluminum fence, which is a little bit more, not as much of an eyesore as a chain link. Or we can put a chain link fence back, which is the easiest and least expensive method, and perhaps a black chain link fence so it won't look quite as metallic. And then, all right, so ground cover, fencing, and equipment. So why don't we start on the fencing? So the only comment I'll make right now is I did speak with two different companies that are experts with playground equipment. And the first one, I had a more detailed discussion, and they indicated for a smaller park, they generally don't recommend having a fence, but they do understand that some parents feel a higher safety and comfort factor with fences around those playground structures. So there's not a right or a wrong answer. So the only answer would be costs. Because of a variety of restrictions on the way New Jersey purchasing law works, because this went out to bid, we are required right now, if we wanted to do fencing, to get the price from B&K Construction, which was the bidder that awarded the fencing. I do not have pricing from them yet. I want to get direction from the council first as to what we were thinking about. And what I would like is either no fence or fence. And if it's a fence, 3 foot or 4 foot, the less expensive chain link, maybe black, or aluminum. To give you a sense as to what I anticipate the cost coming in if we purchased it this way, maybe as high as $40,000 for the aluminum and maybe a little less than 20 for the chain link. If we waited until after the project is completely finished and a period of time elapses, and John, do you know how long that period of time is?
No, it's less, it's 6 months or less. I can't recall the exact time.
It is months though, not days or weeks.
Correct.
So about 6 months from now, we can then purchase off state contract or go out to bid or get it from another vendor, and it will undoubtedly be less money, but let's find the pricing first if we wanted to proceed. So I'm going to pause there to get the feedback from the council. No fence, chain link fence, aluminum fence, 3 feet or 4 feet.
Okay, I'll speak first because I spoke about this before. I feel strongly that we need fencing. I understand that the gentleman you spoke to says maybe no fencing in a small park like this, but having been a young parent not too long ago, it gave you a secure feeling to be able to turn your back. You have 2 kids running around and you had an enclosure. There's water there, there's train tracks. Lackawanna is still a road.
There's still geese walking around.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's a nice feature. And I did speak with multiple parents over the last 2 weeks about fencing, and unanimous and strong feelings for it. So I feel like we absolutely cannot not skip on fencing. 3 feet seems awfully small to me, short to me.
What was there?
I think 4.
I feel like it could have been
Yeah, I think it
5.
might have been about 4 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't short fencing. I mean, you would
The
like,
Yeah.
kids couldn't hop over it.
Yeah.
no, for sure not.
You'd have to close.
So I think 4 feet would be, and I would love something more attractive, but that I'm much more flexible on.
Okay, I can get prices for both, but,
Right.
and do you like the idea on the lower end to get the black, chain
Yeah,
link?
we'd have to go chain link. It'd be nice to get that rubber coated, darker. But then at that point, maybe your cost differential to get a nicer aluminum would be smaller, and then it would be a discussion to have.
But would it be worth waiting the 6 months?
Well, honestly,
You know-
I
you
don't
know what,
think it can
I had a
safety-wise.
thought on
It
the- on
takes
the-
one
on that
accident.
yeah, I mean, I hate to say it, but I
Yeah.
really think that it would be, people would be riled up.
It's
And-
like having a pool in your backyard. That pond is exposed water. I think it takes one incident for something to
Right.
happen there.
It would be a
I don't think
nightmare
We can expose
if something
ourselves.
happened.
Having been a parent a little bit longer, but
Mhm.
my kids would play there. And yeah, if I had them down, you're right. Like you could,
Well, you could have,
you still have to watch them like a hawk, but
course.
you didn't have to watch
but
them
if you have
as.
multiple kids.
Oh yeah, no, you're right.
Especially, you're watching your littlest, knowing that your
Right.
slightly older kids are running around having fun, and you can
Right.
concentrate
No,
on
definitely, it's definitely a.
Are we going around the table here?
Just,
So my thinking is, yeah, that you need to put the fence back.
Okay.
Okay? I'm all for that. I am in favor, not of a chain link fence, but of an aluminum bar fence. I believe Don, through his skills with B&K and his buddy George, can compel George to give a competitive price on that. I really do. I think 3 foot's fine, but if you think 4 foot is more better.
So Jamie brought up a good point. As I'm thinking about it, I think a 3-foot fence might call to children to climb it more than a 4-foot fence might.
Well,
And
I
for
guess-
sure, the last fence was not 3 feet.
Yeah, no, probably not.
You're right, yeah, because you could
Because
leave,
I mean,
yeah.
parents would sit there.
All right, so 4 foot, I'm fine with that, but I'd like to see a black aluminum fence, kind of like the one I sent you the photo of.
Okay.
And I do believe it needs to be done as part of the project now, before the park
Yep,
opens.
I'll speak
Whatever
with
we
the-
need to do to get it done, we'll figure out a way.
If we have consensus, and I think we have majority already.
And the fence has to have a closing, it has to have a sprung,
What are we, chopped liver?
a very important detail, it has to have a sprung closing gate. Okay, that's an important feature.
Okay. John?
Yeah, I'm totally in favor of the fence. I mean, we have to put fences around pools so kids don't fall into them, and the pond is, and the top park are kind of like having the pool in reverse. So you can't fence the pond and you're gonna fence in the top park. I'd be okay of holding off on this project temporarily. Don, in terms of what we're gonna do with the top park, I'd frankly like to get the rec commission involved in it, but they're not gonna move overnight, so probably gonna, if the rec commission got involved and started looking at different ideas for the top park and bringing them to us, we could be get close to that 6 month mark.
So, John, I will mention that they are not mutually exclusive decisions, so we could put the fence up and replace the equipment separately. What would happen, though, is the minute we put the fence up, we would redefine the boundary of the tot lot area. So if the rec commission wanted a more elaborate apparatus, and there's a catalog that I just gave Jamie, but you all have the online catalog in the email I sent. Once you put up the fence, you can't make it bigger than that. So that's the confines we have.
You could at a cost.
Yeah, you have to tear it down again.
Tear part of it down, yeah.
GP? Or
Did
Amy?
you have a comment?
Yeah, I think the tot lot should be restored, obviously. I'm not sure the equipment that's in there is great. I think it's kind of an eyesore, frankly. I don't think it's of a piece with the rest of the park and the improvements that we've been making. So I would like to look at replacement equipment, updated equipment. I know that Carter Van Dyke is not high in our esteem at this point. However, he did show some conceptuals when we were very early on in the design process that were at least interesting and attractive. And one other thing that I might point out is that we engaged the public very directly on making decisions, weighing in on this. Because the top lot really attracts the young parents and they're such an important part of the community, I don't see why we couldn't involve them in a subsequent decision-making phase. And to commit to a fence, for the reasons that Don just outlined, now, in the absence of knowing what equipment do we want and how do we want this to lay out and be a part of the larger park, might be premature. So, as a practical matter, the way that John was describing, waiting on the fence and having the proper design put into place before we do fence and equipment might make sense.
Well, if it takes 6 months to get the equipment, if the equipment isn't there, then the fence, I could agree, doesn't need to be there right away because it would be fencing in just space.
Well, the fencing and the existing equipment, there's no
Oh,
plan to
okay.
remove
Then that
what's there right now.
would, yeah. I
Right,
would
so,
still be in favor
so
of
I
the
think
fence.
everyone agrees there's a fence.
Mhm.
So now the question is, do we do the fence now, or do we wait until the park, well, we haven't talked about the equipment, so let me circle back. So now we have the second question, which is the equipment itself. Now, I want to give you a sense as to what this costs. Having spoken with the vendors and having to purchase off the state contract, we had previously received, with a special grant that's no longer available, pricing at, correct me if I'm wrong, Nancy,
It
$86,000?
was 86 and a $17,000 grant.
Okay, you're right, 86 was, 17 was applied to
Right.
the 86.
Yes, so it was, yeah,
So it was
No,
86
it was
minus
103.
17?
no, 86 plus the
It
17.
would have been.
Yeah,
Would have been 103.
Yeah, it would have been one, yeah.
Yeah, correct, that was my understanding as well. Now, in speaking with the vendors, the prices have gone up 25%, so we're looking at about 120 to 125,000 for kind of a single piece of equipment and maybe a little thing on the side. And there is no grant currently available, but they believe that there might be one available come late July, early August. That would bring down the cost maybe as much as $20,000. So figure on $100,000 for the equipment. So I'm going to pause here and ask, because the money would have to come from, I would assume, rec, open space, maybe capital, Mark, I'm not sure what our opportunities are. Do we want to invest $100,000 on top of the fencing and replacing the existing equipment that's there? And I'll then circle back to the fencing discussion as the timing based on that. So I open it up to.
You know what, as a former parent of young kids, my wife and I spent a fair amount of time in the car finding, nice, good playgrounds. And I think the money is just gonna be very well spent. It's gonna get used. And, I mean, why should people have to, go over the mountain, find a playground and play?
Right, I mean, they would play on the existing play structure, which is
For
old
now,
and
yeah.
tired looking, but not dangerous in any way. Okay,
Maybe
But that's over 25 years old, that's not.
I'm not
And we've gotten our money's worth out of that
It owes
equipment.
us
No
nothing.
question.
It owes us nothing.
Yeah, I agree in the fence and the play structures that we decide upon. I think it's a good idea to engage the public again. The type of fencing, I heard you, Mark, on the aluminum. That seems a little harsh for a playground. I know chain link is less expensive, but it's also more visible through it. It just feels a little softer to me. That doesn't maybe make
Is
sense,
the
but if
aluminum
it's a-
fence not,
I guess
Can
I
you
thought
look
that
through
the chain link fence was a harsher look. And the
aluminum
aluminum would
It's
make
like
it
rubberized
more
the
chain
parents are
link.
gonna wanna be if they're sitting down, they're gonna wanna be able to see what's going on the ground.
Yeah.
If their vision's obscured. that's
Maybe
not
a
great.
split rail fence, which is the least expensive solution.
No, kids can get through
Yeah.
that.
No, but you
Oh.
put screening up on it.
Oh, no. I don't think
See-through
that's-
screening.
We'll just wire it with electric.
I guess I like the rubberized chain link as something that's more visible through it. I feel like kids might get their hands stuck in the spaces of the other type of fence, right? The aluminum.
Oh, I don't think they're that tight. I think they're 3-4 inches
I mean, I'm
wide.
sure playground fences are, they're safe
Yeah.
enough, but anyway, that's just my.
I was looking more for a polished look than a chain link fence in
I
a park.
agree, yeah.
That's like,
I think,
that's like
I think Amy's
caging
point, I think
kids. I
visibility
guess
is
that
important.
just,
There might be
but
some ways
isn't it
of
like
doing it.
caging kids where you put them behind chain link? That doesn't see it so well. with
Why
me.
don't we take the next couple of
You
Oh,
meetings
didn't
to
spend
think
a lot of
about
time
it,
in the
gather
city.
Well,
some input and some feedback from residents, from the Recreation Commission. We can also, shake the tree down at the county and see if there's any money available for things like
Yeah,
that.
I mean, there have certainly been grants, open
There's
space
currently
or-
grant money available,
Grants.
and I reached out and I got the application, so I think it's critical. I hate to see additional funds coming out of the open space fund. I think it was said that about $950,000 would come from open space, and I think that's a third of the fund. I think that's reasonable. I think this type of additional spending that we're going to have to deal with, I think we should be aggressive about looking for grants. I mean, it seems like children playground, open space, there's got to be quite a few grants out there. So I'd like to be active in looking into some grants or looking into capital for some of these extra expenses. But circling back, I think we should go back, we should do fencing and new equipment.
Okay.
But GP, it's not that I don't think that getting input from the town isn't important. I think that's a good idea. But I also don't want to see this kind of like rolling down the hill, and just like taking months and months and months.
Yeah.
Even though it does seem a little bit cart before the horse doing the fencing, I think we have to figure kind of, okay, how much do we want to use? And then pick equipment that's going to fit. But pick the size, put up the fencing, and then feasibly, if there's some delay with putting in new equipment, we deal with that delay. But again, kind of going back to my
Budget
earlier
for it for
reports,
next year.
Feasibly say, listen, like our next, it'd be great the end of June to have all of this done, but maybe we won't be able to do it, but I think getting that fence in there is critical.
So,
in my opinion.
GP, I happen to concur, you do need to get the fence in. If we're gonna leave the existing equipment for any period of time, the fence should go in now.
Yeah.
That's a given.
And we can make it a bigger space, too.
Right, yeah,
But I'm
but-
not sure that that's the right answer, right? Because you don't want something too big in nature pours a void, and then you end
It's
up
gotta be
having
within
two
space.
cameras space. So let's say, it's sad that I know this, but the dimensions are 100 feet by 70 feet by 100 feet by 70 feet. So it's 7,000 square feet.
That's pretty significant.
That's pretty big.
So I think the size is very appropriate for, what we have. I'm sorry.
No, that's
So
true.
just let me
It's not
echo one
No,
more
it's not-
thought let me echo one more thought of Jamie's. I don't agree that this should go out to the public. We did go out to the public when we had the sessions in the auditorium, and the public spoke extremely favorably of the conceptuals of playground equipment that Carter Van Dyke proposed at the time. At this point, I believe a subset of the public would be the Recreation Commission
And
Committee.
the Recreation
Okay.
Commission is, this is a turned over committee. Lot of young parents on the committee.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
that-
give you wrong
that-
dimensions,
Don-
35 feet by 50 feet, so
Yeah.
170 feet.
I mean, right now, there's a one climbing structure, two little things, a seesaw, and a set of 4 swings, only baby swings. It's not that much, and then two picnic tables. So I think expanding a little bit would be nice. 'Cause
Was it 75 by 75 maybe?
Well,
You said 30,
so right now,
No, make it 70.
oh,
it's rectangular, so you might want to keep that rectangular
Yeah.
footprint, and maybe expand, so 35 feet, make it 50 feet, right? And 50 feet, make it 70 feet. And
If
because
we,
they're petite structures in there right now, so
if we want to do the fence now, we need to find the money for it, so let's be aware of that. As far as the design goes, I think Don should look at the conceptuals that Carter Van Dyke provided, send them to the manufacturer who has a state contract, that catalog you just showed us. Let them do a design. They do it for free.
Yeah, they'll do
And then run it by the rec commission and get the feedback from those parents. We'll look at it on a council level, and then we'll figure out how we're gonna pay.
so the gentleman from the company that I've been dealing with has offered to come and meet with the council, the rec commission, whoever we designate, and help design, no charge, the structure. All the equipment and the installation costs are available under state contracts. We don't have to worry about bidding this. What we do have to worry about is the lockout time from adding the equipment to the
I
park.
want to ask you a question about that. Was there anything in the original contract dealing with fencing?
No.
No,
With that in mind, there may not be any lockout period.
Okay.
Because it's not part of the scope of the
Not
project.
part of this, yeah, and it's not necessarily part of a typical park project.
And the top park itself was not part of the bidding contract as well.
That is correct.
So I think we have solid basis to.
And there was a road between the two at one time too, different properties.
I'm still
That's right.
confused. by
I can
the-
check
Vacating that road.
I can check with the QPA tomorrow.
that.
I will double check with our
The
QPA
one thing-
tomorrow.
Carter Van
Okay,
Dyke
well,
did
you'll double
is-
check and let me know.
Yes,
Then we would
I will
just
double
need-
check with the
Then we would
QPA.
just need 2 quotes.
Yeah.
Right. I will double check with him.
All right, Nancy, do you know the background as to why the fencing was removed?
There was a decision back at the pre-construction meeting that we would take the fencing down.
I think I remember seeing it in the demolition plan.
Okay, it was old, it was tired looking.
No, it was at the time ago.
Yeah, okay. All right, so here's what I've captured. Nancy's going to check with the QPA to make sure, see if we can do this forthwith. I'm going to just use right now for rough pricing guides an expansion to 50 feet by 75 feet as to the dimensions of the park, which would bring it up to 3,750 square feet, bigger than a normal house would be. I think that's a good size.
And that gets the fence.
We're going to have the playground representative meet with whatever body we designate to help figure out what equipment should be there. And should that be recreation, open space?
Recreation.
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 Who will spearhead that discussion? There's a catalog here that we can use as a
I'll
starter.
I'll certainly bring it to rec.
That's
We can
Sweeney.
go back to the original discussions that we had. We already received the public input on it as a way of narrowing the
Yeah,
field.
just the specific equipment. I mean, there'll be a couple of options that'll be similarly priced.
And that's the thing, right up Brett's alley, so.
Okay. I will get, from the vendor for now, the pricing for the 50 times 75 rubberized chain link 4-foot, as well as the aluminum, so we have a basis and an understanding of what the cost would be, but not to do that until I circle back with the council, and then we'll figure out what our options might be. And it might be the day after construction, going with a different entity to construct the fence. And then the last item to decide, I think we've decided that the fencing and the playground equipment will not be mutually connected. They'll be exclusive, so we can put the fencing up sooner while we have the old equipment there until the new equipment comes in, which might be 6 months, because there's a long lead time on this and there's no grants right now. It might take us a little while to get that, so we can have the fencing up quickly. And then the last decision we have to make, it was in my email to you, is the ground cover. And I've already gotten feedback. I'll just, for the benefit of the public, there were 3 options. The first one was mulch, which we have there currently. It's about $2 to $3 a square foot. The second one was shredded brown rubber, which is $3 to $5 a square foot. And the third one is poured rubber, which is about $16 a square foot, but never needs maintenance. Without influencing the discussion, I've gotten feedback that one of those options was not met favorably, but does anyone have any thoughts on what we should do there?
My only thought would be that, I can't imagine poured rubber there, it just doesn't seem like it would fit with the aesthetics. However, I want it to be safe, so if the equipment people say mulch isn't safe, let's do the shredded rubber, I would go with whatever they said, or if they said it had to be poured rubber for safety.
So,
I mean, it's something to evaluate.
I might have been the negative one on the
I didn't
poured
get a single,
rubber.
I got multiple calls, so you.
The way I look at the poured rubber is if you've ever been on a field turf or astroturf for an extended period of time, it's a good 10 degrees hotter.
Yeah.
And
this is a tot lot. This isn't like it's not a hardcore playground, you know what I mean? I feel like we're gonna be fine with
It's
mulch.
also, especially if you're talking about expanding the footprint of the tot lot, you're talking about more impervious coverage in an environmentally sensitive area.
Mm.
You're in the floodplain, you're in the wetlands buffer.
Yeah.
All of those
you
things
may not
factor
be
in,
able-
and
You may not be able to do that.
you may not be
Yeah.
able to do the rubber, and to my knowledge, there are no material safety data sheets on the rubber dust for the AstroTurf or anything else. I mean, you don't know what
That's
you're
been an
getting.
issue
Yeah.
for a while as well, with the rubber pellets.
Okay, I think the answer is obvious, but I didn't want to force my opinion. So I think the original plan is for Public Works to put mulch down, fresh mulch. We'll stick with that plan unless informed otherwise.
Well, wait, why aren't we considering this shredded rubber option?
You know, with the field turf, I mean, I don't think there've been any real documented issues, but I know there's always been a concern because they use tires. They grind up, and whether or not, that's gonna, get into your system. And being that we're talking about little kids there, I'd be more concerned about
And also
little kids.
kids with respiratory issues and things like that.
Well, they're very low dust, that's
We're
where they
not worried
came
about,
about.
I guess I worry about mulch because I know it's all treated with pesticides before it's spread
But I
and
think we need an
all that.
organic mulch.
Yeah, I think we need somebody.
Non-pesticide.
No, we have to be selective. You don't want to have a mud puddle there either, but I think we can steer that process more than with rubberized products.
I think you should ask the
But all
the guys
three are
who-
standard playground services, so.
Yeah. I think we should go with the safety, what they recommend,
So-
knowing that we're not gonna do the poured rubber.
Here's what they said. The rubber and the mulch have similar impact safety. However, in November, December, when it rains and then freezes, the mulch can form clusters of hard frozen wood with water, and that may not meet some safety requirements, although there is nothing out currently in the state that prohibits its use. Apparently, the rubber doesn't freeze quite the same way, or it gives.
Oh, it gets hard in the cold weather.
Mhm.
At least the turf did.
Yeah, well, by the way, if we put down the mulch is a yearly solution, so we can change that at any time.
Yeah.
So I think,
I'd go with the mulch for that reason.
okay,
And if the ground gets a little bare and it's not holding up, then we do something different.
okay, great. So last thing, not specifically playground related, but park related. We need to make a decision with respect to the fence that goes over the weir. Okay, so we have a couple of different options. As you might recall, it's just basically iron pipe that goes over. All right, so the first option is to do nothing with that fence, so just leave it as it is. The second option is to sand and repaint it as it currently exists. Now, neither of those is a mechanical change and doesn't require an upgrade to current safety standards. If we change the railing, we have to then meet the current code requirements, which call for 4-inch or lesser gaps between the slats and so on. I sent you Lucinda's comments with some photographs there, all of which will cost several $1,000s and up. So the question for the council tonight is, do we do nothing? Do we sand and paint it? And it would be painted the same color as the fence that is right at Main Street when you come in. There's a black iron railing, thank you. Or do we architect and pay for a replacement, which will involve architecture fees and substantive cost to retrofit. I have an opinion here, but I'm going to go last. Unless you
I'm
want to go
not
first.
sure. I would sand and paint.
Yeah.
It's held up this long. Why throw out something that's still functional?
Okay.
I think it should be of a piece along with the main entrance on Main Street, and,
It's similar looking. The problem is, once you do the piece on Main Street,
Mhm.
you've replaced it, and now you have to have steel mesh or those steel cords going vertically and
right, I
horizontally.
saw that, I saw Lucinda's email and things like, but maybe that might be an option also for the top lot, to keep it all of a piece, so it doesn't look like a patchwork.
I could ask him for similar pricing. So, see, the problem with the, so you're talking about then the steel piping for the top lot with the steel grating.
With the mesh or with the steel, stainless steel cable.
I can get a fencing price on that. That's not a problem. I'll ask him for three quotes. I'm with John. I think we should just paint, and sand and paint.
And we can always come back to it later on, like, hey, you know what?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's the one, you can see through it too, and it might be of a piece instead of having,
Do we have images? I can't remember.
this
It's in
patchwork.
the email
Right, right.
that I sent with respect to.
I agree, keep it the way it is, paint it black,
Yeah,
but then we can come back to, like, if, you know, when we
Yeah.
do the top lot, hey, now's the time to upgrade it or whatever.
right.
But this way we can get it open, just at next
Is
to
the
the press.
bridge, the other bridge, is that ADA compliant? The wood?
By the scout cabin?
Yeah,
Yes.
it is.
So the option sheet had is this.
So I think we'll just leave it, paint it,
Okay.
sand it and paint it black.
Is that about the new bridge?
It's
Okay, all right.
the last one.
Anything else on that? We don't want to belabor this.
No, that was everything I need. Thank
Okay.
you very much. I'll
Okay.
move on this.
Well, you're gonna need a change order. You're gonna need monies to pay for the fence around the tot lot if it's done now, which I'm
But-
hearing.
Yes, but not yet.
Okay, and also the
Actually, what we,
painting of the deck over the weir.
Correct.
And the painting of
No,
the
the
rear.
top lot we're looking into might not be part of the scope of the project, so we could do it on our own.
so we-
No, but I'm saying.
no, but
how
we
we're
still
gonna-
need money,
you
but
need money.
not as much as.
Yeah,
Co-
so
co-
there's a resolution on that is no longer valid.
No, there's no resolution to that.
Yes,
Yes,
the
there
ordinance
is.
is on.
The ordinance, I'm sorry, not
So
resolution.
we have
An
sufficient
ordinance.
funding to cover the 3 change orders that are there for tonight.
By the ordinance.
By the, some of that, well, one of those we need funding to, for tonight.
Yeah. We
The
do
last
need-
one, we
to
do need
find-
some funding tonight in order to cover one of the,
Now, if we're pulling the tot lot out, that 150 that was suggested could easily drop to 50 or less.
Well, I would leave a little cushion in there for the weir repainting and,
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
and even
Would
the
you be
fencing.
okay with another 50 out of open space and rec to the park?
I mean, is there a reason why we can't get it from anywhere else?
You know what I would.
Yeah, there's another place to get it, which Greg whispered in my ear, and that is the Recreation Trust Fund,
And what's the balance of the rec trust fund right now?
about 140,
Um,
maybe a little less, but somewhere in there.
and is that, John, I don't know, are you aware, like, is that earmarked for,
It's not earmarked for anything specific. I mean, it would be used, you know, the gym floor is gonna need to be redone.
The tennis
So the
courts.
tennis courts require repair. So there are things that, you know, that money could go towards.
and how much does it grow usually per year?
It doesn't really grow much at all.
No, it's pretty constant, which means that money's been sitting in there for years and years.
Right.
And
I
our
mean,
auditor did call out a year ago that fund was a bit high, excessively high.
Well, then it seems like, I mean, unless,
The original top part, was paid for by rec.
okay,
You know, so I think there'd be a lot of support on rec, you know, for the top, you know, for funding the top park out of it. You know, and obviously I'll bring it up with them. I mean, I'm okay with rolling back some of what's coming out of open space, give you opportunity to talk with the open space committee and, you know, and let them know what you're doing, because I know we're doing this in a hurry.
Yeah.
So there's, I don't have a rec meeting to go to right now, to get approval from them. And we don't have an open space meeting coming up right away. So the less we have to take out of the fund immediately, so we can be more proactive with those two committees, the better.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as I found out today, I sent an email to OSAC, but, yeah, I think it'd be great if some of it could come out of the rec fund, which has been.
And I think, I honestly believe there'd be
It's a very
a lot
appropriate
of
use,
support
right?
from the.
Well,
from the
like,
commission.
you could easily take the fence out of the rec fund, that's no problem, but the railing and the painting of the dam can't come out of there. So that would have to come from somewhere else.
Well, wouldn't the sanding and painting of the railing be a DPW job?
No,
Can't do it because it's on site, even
that's
though it was out of
within
scope.
Even though it's not in the scope?
Right, because they would have to go on site while the site is locked down, which they can't do to do the work because of the insurance carrier for B&K.
It's probably better.
I'm not in a hurry to have that painted and sanded.
No, that should be done before the park opens.
We'd have to shut down the.
But we're gonna have,
And do we know how much that's
we're gonna
gonna
have all
be?
the wrappings around the plants for a couple of months. We're really not open.
Yeah, we can sequence it. That's something you coordinate to have done right after.
The day after.
We could do it the day after.
Yeah, we're really not, I thought we're really not gonna be open as long as we have all the mesh up there, up there covering the plants. I mean, people will walk through, but they're not, but it's not exactly what you envision.
I think you should have V&K do that job and get it done.
Let me
Well, it also depends, sorry, on the bid. I mean, I feel like if V came back and it seems absurd, and we asked DPW and they say they can do it for a fraction.
Let me get the numbers, and then I'll circle back informally, and then we can make a decision at the next meeting, all right? John, in the meantime, though, you'll reach out to Rec on the design. I have another catalog here.
Dan would be absolutely thrilled for me to put something on his plate.
Yeah. You can have my copy.
You know what, Don? Get a price for the paint.
January list.
For all the paint. Let me see what the price is and let me see what other options we have.
Okay,
To get it done,
I've got a busy day in the next 2 days, so no problem.
and you need to beat on that.
But for the funding for tonight, for those change orders, where do we need to pull the money?
I think you need to pull that order.
Take a
That's
look
not
at the
gonna happen.
renderings.
So number one. Number two, I think we need to get consensus from the council
Take a
that we're
look
gonna
at
use
the renderings.
recreation trust for the fence around the top.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
And we don't need a resolution for that.
All right, but you're not concerned about payment for the 3 change orders?
One of them we need,
Is he talking about the sticky night?
we need funding for the 3. For that total there, we don't have enough.
So we need 10,000.
We need approximately 10, maybe 12.
All right.
And I would give yourselves a buffer just in
Would you
case
be
something.
okay? Would you be okay?
What have we taken from, have we taken the full 950?
No,
No, we're only taking 850. So as far as I know.
We've taken 850 already.
And is another 100 already earmarked though?
What,
Is it already spent?
no.
No.
Okay.
No. So the ordinance for tonight was set to take 150, which would put it to the million.
Mhm.
The 850
Right.
would put it to the million, if we
Yeah.
took the 150. The money, if we don't spend the money the ordinance can always be canceled and put back into the open space fund.
I'm fine as long as the amount that comes out of open space does not exceed 950, because that's what we okayed. And I know it's an advisory committee, but I feel like that was a reasonable
All right.
number to come from.
So then
open
we can
space.
change
That's
the
a
ordinance
reasonable
tonight to
compromise.
50.
Yeah, let's change it to
I like
9.
that. And whatever we
No,
don't
to
spend.
change
goes
it to
back in.
100.
Back into open space.
Okay, so
Because we
it's
have 850 already.
Okay, so,
And we're gonna go to
yes,
950. Make it
Right.
100 even.
we can make it
And
100
if we have
even.
anything, we roll it back.
When we get to it,
Right.
that's ordinance 1115, right?
Yes,
All right, when we get there, we can figure that out, right?
right,
That
right.
works for me.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, guys.
Okay.
Thanks, Don.
Anything under new business, anything else under new business? Miscellaneous discussions and approvals, open gym status and associated monitoring of activities.
Okay, Jamie has brought this back to the forefront again. Again, a lot of thought to it, because we don't have an employee that we can dedicate to monitoring the gym for an open gym. And when I was a kid, the public high school would have an open gym, like one night a week, and there'd be somebody there, monitoring the kids. we have resurrected it with the men who play on Tuesday nights, as everyone might notice when you leave. But when we resurrected that, we did it a little bit differently. They filed a property use request, just like any other group would do, and provided proof of insurance. I'm looking at it and saying, for after school, if there are parents that are interested, we have them do a property use request, put their insurance, down with it. We can waive the fee, but that way somebody is being held accountable for it.
And I'm fine with that. My concern, in that scenario is, say, I do that so that my son can come play basketball because that's what he wants. But some other kid shows up while I'm there, and that puts the burden on me as a resident, not as a council person, to be like, oh, I'm sorry, you can't be here because this is my private time. I have my insurance. It's just a little bit of an awkward scenario. So I guess in my mind, and I'm just throwing this out there again as more of a resident and not a council person.
Well, it wouldn't be an application, like they're getting the gym for a private party or something like that. I mean, the waiving of the fee, I mean, when we do that, the application actually, says, is this open to all residents of PEAPACK and Gladstone? And that's a factor in terms of waiving the fee. I think the parents would need to do it for, short periods of time. And not be filing an application saying that they want to have every Monday through Friday for the entire summer, open gym, because nobody's going to follow through on the monitoring. But if they said, I want to have I'm willing to step up, first and third Wednesdays of the month to have open gym, and in essence privatizing it.
I don't think that creates equal access to a public facility to privatize it. I mean, I think there are some families who would like to be able to do that, probably wouldn't have the means to.
We're not talking about charging them for it.
But even to have the insurance
insurance
coverage would be
part.
going to the
They're
resident.
homeowners.
But what if they're not a homeowner? Well,
They have a renter's policy. Presumably they have some form of insurance where they could, have the borough as a name insured on it.
right.
Can I just, we had, Anthony just told me tonight that on Thursday night last week, there were 5 kids that came into the gym. And they were up on the stage, they were fooling around. They weren't in there playing or
To use the gym.
to use the gym.
Mhm.
He did tell them they had to leave because open gym was not opened. They started giving him a little bit of back talk about it. I really feel that if you're going to have it, you set certain times and we hire somebody to sit there and monitor.
Yeah.
Because we don't know what's up on the stage. We do use it as storage. A lot of recreation stuff is up there. We don't need that stuff to get broken or anything. And I think we hire somebody part-time to come in and sit there. You might be able to get a retired, you might be able to get somebody who's in college or something that has, and we hire a part-timer to sit there and do it.
Right.
I don't know that I'm in favor of hiring a part-timer for this, because I don't know how successful or not successful it's gonna be. We had asked Dan to come up with a plan for open gym, and he was gonna talk to the rec commission.
It's a conversation that hasn't gone anywhere because I
thought they were gonna try to structure volunteers with a managed schedule by Dan, with somebody, an adult would come in and be there for X number of hours on certain nights of the week, and give the borough a guarantee that someone's in there supervising. What happened the other night is inexcusable. We cannot have that. And
It's not
and that's why
locked.
we shut it down.
I thought it was locked when
The gym should be locked. I guess somebody was in there or whatever. Dan might have went in there. Dan has unfortunately been out for the last
Right,
week. So he might have went in there and never locked it again.
okay. But typically it's locked.
Well, what happened
Typically, it
is
should
why
be locked,
why we
yes.
stopped open gym, because we had these kind of incidences. So we have to have something in place. I can't tell you I'm keen about the idea of hiring someone to do it. I think it should be a volunteer thing by the parents. If they want their children to have use of the gym, let them sign up on a schedule and commit to being there. No?
Well, so I kind of look at that and say, well, you know, if we treat them the same way as we are now treating the adult men, you know, somebody is going to be accountable on that schedule. When you're talking about volunteers, if a volunteer doesn't show or a volunteer
You're right.
leaves early,
And there's nobody
what do you do?
overseeing that.
John, don't get me wrong, I like your other idea, where they file, they
I mean, I'd love to see it be done by
I like that it's
volunteers.
structured, it provides
You
guarantees.
know, but then we're also getting into, background checks on every single person who wants
I
to
know.
volunteer because they're babysitting kids.
Good point. Your plan is good, except I do think it would be a bit onerous to ask a parent to provide a certificate of insurance. That, you know, they don't have access, they wouldn't even know how to get it. And their personal insurance isn't gonna cover them using a public facility.
No, I think people have put their homeowners up when they've done events
And they're
in the
gonna,
past.
and they're gonna call up and get a certificate of insurance for us, you know, that
I
part.
feel like it's a financial risk that.
I think
anyway,
the waiver idea, I was just gonna say that, thank you, John. A waiver idea might be better, but I do like your idea, where it's that you apply for it and you sign something and you're providing the supervision.
Yeah,
And if they don't provide the supervision, they're liable, but
Yeah, I
things can
think-
still happen.
Right, I guess that's my
You
only,
know,
And we have no way to-
it's not so much about getting, about recourse. It's about, you know, it's like when somebody takes the witness stand and they take the oath of office, all of a sudden, the truth becomes a little more serious term. So when you ask them to sign an application saying that they will do this, I think they'll take it more seriously.
Than just
in that
drop your
respect.
son off or
Yeah,
daughter off to
agreed.
play basketball.
Yeah, because they've got a stake in it. You know, especially if the kids act up and they're just like, hey, you know, if something gets broken here, if I'm gonna be responsible for it, they're gonna make sure they're not doing it.
But what happens if somebody comes into there that's not part of their group that goes in there?
that's my issue.
And they're not, and they do something, they damage something that's up on the stage, and they feel that they don't have to listen to
Well,
the adult that's in there.
I'm actually envisioning it that the application is, I mean, if they specify that they want exclusive use for, for a particular purpose, then, that's what gets approved, and then, and then they be within the right to tell somebody to leave, just like
They
when you
would.
walk into the gym when the rec basketball game's going on, and you started shooting around, you're gonna get tossed out. But I'm looking at it as, from the standpoint that if they want to have open gym, this is, if there's enough parents that, feel strongly about it, they're gonna, they'll get, maybe a group of them would file the application to take responsibility regardless of who comes in.
You know, I think we're making this into a bigger thing than we should. I think it'd just be easier to hire somebody. I know, Mark, you don't want to, but for $15 an hour, whatever, you know what? We hire somebody, we put them in there, and then just anybody who wants to come in, and that person that we're hiring has to maintain order in there. So,
So we're gonna hire somebody for, let's say, 4 hours a day, 5 days a week.
No, it doesn't
No.
have to be, we schedule it maybe 2 days a week.
Right.
There's open gym and maybe a few hours on Sunday afternoon.
it'll be,
Mayor, I would be open to a trial of that.
Yeah.
And we pay for it out of recreation. I'll be open to a trial.
I just think it'll streamline it. It'll just make it easier.
And-
That way, anybody who wants to come, they can come. Because we're providing somebody there just to, it's like a lifeguard.
And whoever it's like a lifeguard, and whoever that person is has to keep a log of how many people use it, so at least we can track and see if it's
Right.
worthwhile.
We don't need names. We
And
just,
evaluate,
10 kids use
just
it, 5
numbers.
kids, yeah.
They're just numbers, and we can evaluate whether it's a worthwhile program or not. Or, and if it's not, and it doesn't pay for us, we kill open gym.
Right, yeah.
We kill open gym permanently, because it didn't work.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can always go back and revisit it, but everything is screening for this to be a structured program under the umbrella of the recreation department.
Yeah.
That's all. And in the way that the mayor
Yeah, I'm
was
getting
describing,
I think
you
it's-
set it up for a couple of nights a week and see what the resonance is. It can't be too loosey-goosey, otherwise you hire
The
someone,
bureaucracy
you're
is
paying
getting
for someone,
bigger.
and the kids don't show up.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is.
Our one-person
Gotta be
rec
structured.
department is now growing.
I realize it's a pain in the neck, but I think any other option is more of a pain in the neck, and it's just,
Yeah.
who's
That doesn't
gonna,
eliminate the risk.
Yeah.
Well, I like John's option with a waiver, and the parent signs the rule and agrees to the monitoring. But,
How do we enforce that?
Monitoring's
Like,
not
if a
gonna
kid,
happen.
your parent didn't show up, whatever,
Yeah.
and the playground is open to anybody. We don't have waivers, we don't have
The
anyone
only,
watching.
the only
Yeah.
recourse we'd have is when, if they filed an application thereafter, and they failed to supervise and you deny the application.
Yeah.
That would be the only.
we're gonna insist upon a responsible adult doing this? We're not gonna hire teenagers or
Yeah, I
anything
would
like
think
that?
so.
Okay.
So we'll let Dan figure that out.
Yeah, I'll talk to
Okay.
Dan about that.
All right.
He's gonna be so happy with
Yeah.
it.
Also need a minimum age to be there alone, right? Can't drop off a 3-year-old to, to open gym, so,
But that will, all right, so we'll
Yeah,
put
'cause you
together,
can't
we'll put
say
together
this
some
person
regulations
yeah, right.
for,
We'll get a portable
So like
fence.
8
Yeah.
years old, 10, I don't,
I think to be there without a parent, you had to be 15 or older
yeah.
to be there without a parent. I think anything below
But
that
the-
age it was, I think that's what was originally.
That was
the-
a
the
loan. I wonder if we
supervisor-
could change it if there's gonna be someone, not to
No,
young,
right.
but like change it to like 12 or, I don't know.
Right, no,
whatever.
which is fine. I'm just saying, I think in the ordinance it said 15 and older can be
Yeah.
there by themselves.
Right.
You just don't have a
Well,
list.
it's like, 12 as of February.
Thinking out loud, this part-timer, is this part-timer gonna be hesitant about having to supervise other people's
That's what
children?
they're getting hired
that's
for.
what
so-
they're gonna be,
That's the job
that's
description.
what they'd have to
Lifeguard,
be interviewed
It's a
for.
lifeguard without water.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what they're taking the job for.
Summer
Yeah.
camp counselors, we can have a gym
Right.
counselor.
Yeah, maybe like-
All right, anything else on
The
open?
counselors, you have adult supervisors.
Anything else on open, Jim? Moving on to reading and approval of minutes. Regular meeting minutes of May 10th, 2022. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Second,
Roll call vote, please.
Councilman Caminiti?
Yes.
Council President Corliano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Dietrich?
yes.
Councilman Lemma?
Yes.
Councilwoman Murphy?
Yes,
Councilman Sweeney?
Aye.
Special meeting minutes of May 11th, 2022. Do I have a motion to approve these minutes?
So moved.
And a second.
second,
Roll call vote.
Councilman Caminiti?
Yes.
Council President Corliano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Dietrich?
Yes.
Councilman Lemma?
Yes.
Councilwoman Murphy?
yes,
Councilman Sweeney?
Aye.
Moving on to ordinances, public hearing of ordinance 1111, 2022, ordinance to set the compensation of the mayor, borough council members, department heads, and municipal employees. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing for this ordinance?
So moved.
And a second.
second,
Roll call vote for the open hearing.
Councilman Caminiti?
Yes.
Council President Corliano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Dietrich?
Yes.
Councilman Lemma?
Yes.
Councilwoman Murphy?
yes.
Councilman Sweeney?
Aye.
Okay, the public hearing is now open. Does anybody have any comments on ordinance 1111, 2022? Anybody online?
No, there's one person online and they're not.
Okay. Okay, seeing nobody from the public like to comment on this ordinance in the hearing, with a second I need a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
A second.
Second.
A roll call vote, please.
Councilman Caminiti?
Yes.
Council President Corliano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Dietrich?
Yes.
Councilman Lemma?
Yes.
Councilwoman Murphy?
Yes,
Councilman Sweeney?
Aye.
Okay, I need a motion to adopt ordinance 1111-2022.
So moved.
And a second.
Second,
Roll call vote?
Councilman Caminiti?
Yes.
Council President Corliano?
Yeah.
Councilwoman Dietrich?
yes.
Councilman Lemma?
Yes.
Councilwoman Murphy?
yes,
Councilman Sweeney?
Aye.
Ordinance 1111, 2022 is adopted and shall be published by title only in the Burnsville News in accordance with law. Public hearing of ordinance number 1112, 2022, ordinance to amend chapter 23 land development ordinance of the revised general ordinances of the Borough of PEAPACK and Gladstone, amending Article 11A, MUAH, I gotta think about that, mixed use affordable housing zone, and amending Article 11, establishing a new overlay zone within the ORL Office Research Laboratory Zone. That is a mouthful. Motion to open the public hearing for ordinance 1112, 2020.
So moved.
Second, please.
Second.
Roll call vote to open the hearing.
Councilman Caminiti?
Yes.
Council President Corliano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Dietrich?
Yes.
Councilman Lemma?
Yes.
Councilwoman Murphy?
Yes.
Councilman Sweeney?
Aye.
Anybody from the public would like to comment on this ordinance? Okay, hearing no comment, motion to close the public hearing for ordinance 1112, 2022.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
roll call vote.
Councilman Caminiti?
Yes.
Council President Corliano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Dietrich?
Yes.
Councilman Lemma?
Yes.
Councilwoman Murphy?
Yes.
Councilman Sweeney?
Aye.
Motion to approve ordinance, to adopt ordinance 1112, 2022.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
roll call vote.
Councilman Caminiti?
Yes.
Council President Corliano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Dietrich?
Yes.
Councilman Lemma?
Yes.
Councilwoman Murphy?
Yes.
Councilman Sweeney?
Aye.
Ordinance 1112, 2022 is adopted and shall be published by title only in the Burnsville News in accordance with law. For introduction of ordinance 1113, 2022, ordinance appropriating certain monies held by the Borough of PEAPACK and Gladstone for the acquisition of a new case 2022 521G wheel loader in the amount of $185,746. Do I have a motion to introduce ordinance 1113, 2022?
So moved.
Roll call vote. Second.
Second.
Roll call vote. Ahead of myself.
Councilman Caminiti?
Yes.
Council President Corliano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Dietrich?
Yes.
Councilman Lemma?
Yes.
Councilwoman Murphy?
Yes.
Councilman Sweeney?
Aye.
Ordinance 1113, 2022 is introduced and shall be published in summary in the Burnsville News, and that the public hearing for said ordinance shall be held on June 14th, 2022 at 7 p.m. or shortly thereafter. Ordinance 1114, 2022, ordinance pertaining to for various improvements in and by the Borough of Peapack and Gladstone and appropriating $232,636 in the general capital fund, $44,400 in the open space trust, and $71,318 in the sewer capital fund, therefore from various funds of the borough. Do I have a motion to introduce ordinance 1114, 2022?
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Councilman Caminiti?
Yes.
Council President Corliano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Dietrich?
Yes.
Councilman Lemma?
Yes.
Councilwoman Murphy?
Yes.
Councilman Sweeney?
Aye.
Ordinance 1114, 2022 is introduced and shall be published in summary in the Burnsville News, and that the public hearing for said ordinance shall be held on June 14th, 2022 at 7 p.m. or shortly thereafter. Do we have to pull this next ordinance, or we're just amending?
No amendment.
Amended.
Okay, ordinance 1115, 2022, ordinance appropriating certain monies held in the Borough of Peapack and Gladstone for improvements to Liberty Park. Should we introduce it first and then make the,
Yeah, how do we amend this?
What you can do is state right now what the new resolution would be as amended. Ordinance, what the amendments would be, and then a motion and second to introduce that ordinance.
okay, so we
So I
want-
make a motion that we amend 1115-2022, changing $150,000 to $100,000.
Second.
roll call vote.
Councilman Caminiti?
Yes.
Council President Corliano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Dietrich?
Yes.
Councilman Lemma?
Yes.
Councilwoman Murphy?
Yes.
Councilman Sweeney?
Aye.
Okay, ordinance 1115, 2022 is introduced as amended and shall be published in summary in the Burnsville News, and the public hearing for said ordinance shall be held on June 14th, 2022 at 7 p.m. or shortly thereafter.
We have to take a vote on it. We only
Oh,
vote on
yeah,
the
you're right.
amendment.
So we have to take a roll call vote on that, you're right. So roll call vote. Yeah,
I make a motion to introduce it as amended.
So
do we have a second? I thought we did do that. All right, roll call vote.
No, we amended to change it.
Councilman Caminiti?
Yes.
Council President Corliano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Dietrich?
Yes.
Councilman Lemma?
Yes.
Councilwoman Murphy?
Yes.
Councilman Sweeney?
Aye.
Okay, and that's amended, that we voted to amend the change, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
We voted to, we voted to amend it, and we voted to introduce it.
okay. So the
Now
public
we have to
hearing will be
introduce.
held on June 14th at 7 p.m. or shortly thereafter. Moving on to resolutions, we can get through these pretty quickly. Resolution 12522, resolution to reappoint Nancy Bresker as Registrar of Vital Statistics. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
roll call vote.
Councilman Caminiti?
Yes.
Council President Corigliano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Dietrich?
Yes.
Councilman Lemma?
Yes.
Councilwoman Murphy?
Yes.
Councilman Sweeney?
Aye.
Resolution 12622, resolution authorizing the Borough of PEAPACK and Gladstone Council to fix and determine annual salaries, wages, or compensation due be paid to officers, employees of the Borough of PEAPACK and Gladstone. Do I have a motion for this resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Councilman Caminiti?
Yes.
Council President Corigliano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Dietrich?
Yes.
Councilman Lemma?
Yes.
Councilwoman Murphy?
Yes.
Councilman Sweeney?
Aye.
Resolution 12722, resolution to appoint Brad Fagan as the Department of Public Works Director of the Borough of PEAPACK and Gladstone effective May 23rd, 2022. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
So.
Second.
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 Roll call vote.
Councilman Caminiti?
Yes.
Council President Corigliano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Dietrich?
Yes.
Councilman Lemma?
Yes.
Councilwoman Murphy?
Yes.
Councilman Sweeney?
Aye.
Resolution,
Since Brad's in the room, I think we
congratulations.
should congratulate him,
Congratulations.
wish him well in his new job and success in doing the job well.
Thank you. Now go fix Liberty Park.
Yeah. Right now. We had the light towers, you were good. Resolution 128, 129, I'm going to do a consent agenda resolution for, do I have a resolution to approve? Do I have a motion to approve both resolutions for liquor licenses?
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
Roll call votes.
Councilman Caminiti?
Yes.
Council President Corigliano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Dietrich?
Yes.
Councilman Lemma?
Yes.
Councilwoman Murphy?
Yes.
Councilman
I
Sweeney?
think for 130, 131, and 135, I gotta explain them all, they're all the same.
Okay,
the same
sure.
vehicle.
Sure. Resolution 130, 22, 131, 22, and 135, 22. Resolutions to execute development and affordable housing agreements with Malolo Equities for two areas and also, 2 areas in town and also SJP residential developers. Mark, do you want to, do we have a motion to approve
So
those
moved.
3 and a second? Thank you.
Second.
Mark, you want to just comment on
Real
those?
quick, these are agreements that we were required to develop and execute now in order to get our affordable housing order of compliance and repose. And what these agreements essentially say is that these individual developments have an affordable housing requirement and that the developer is agreeing that he has to build those affordable housing units.
Okay.
And that's for the Lackawanna Assemblage and the FinPro site, respectively 17 and 5. Next door, which is 3, and SJP, which is 14 units.
Okay. Roll call vote, please.
Councilman Caminiti?
Yes.
Council President Corigliano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Dietrich?
Yes.
Councilman Lemma?
Yes.
Councilwoman Murphy?
Yes.
Councilman Sweeney?
Aye.
Resolution 132, I'm going to do these separately. 13222, authorizing change order 11 from V&K Construction for Liberty Park improvement. Do I have a motion to approve resolution 13222?
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
Don, do you want to just
Yeah.
explain that?
There'll be 3 of them here, I'll explain each one. The first one is for $1,500. There's an aerator pump that was located on a pad next to the old electrical panel. When we decided to move the electrical panel, we need to move the aerator pump. So this is to move the aerator, pour a new pad so that it's kind of out of the way behind the rock near the water. Demo the old panel, the old slab, and with the new slab, put the conduit through it so that we can get the pumps, the pipes out to the pond. Brad and his team are going to connect those 4 pipes, and we'll be back in business.
Okay, roll call vote.
Councilman Caminiti?
Yes.
Council President Corigliano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Dietrich?
Yes.
Councilman Lemma?
Yes.
Councilwoman Murphy?
Yes.
Councilman Sweeney?
Aye.
Okay, resolution 133 and 134 are authorized change order number 12 and 13 for V&K since they're both related. Do I have a motion to approve resolutions 133 and 134? Second.
Second.
Don, do you want to just explain those
Yeah,
two?
so this concerns drainage in the park. Without getting into specifics about the design as posted, we felt did not adequately address groundwater drainage in the park during heavier rains. These changes call for a series of groundwater drains located throughout the park at the lowest levels where the water is collecting or will collect, and tap into the new drainage system that is already in place in the park, and to demo a 50 to 100-year-old concrete cistern that is unusable there, just to get it out of the way. Once this is in place, they will put one new atrium drain in the vicinity of the old drain cistern that was in place, and a new pipe that drains directly into the pond, so the groundwater will be more easily into the pond. So it's $14,800 for the drainage system, and it's $3,400 for the atrium drain and the drain that runs into the pond.
Thank you. Roll call vote for both resolutions.
Councilman Caminiti?
Yes.
Council President Corigliano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Dietrich?
Yes.
Councilman Lemma?
Yes.
Councilwoman Murphy?
Yes.
Councilman Sweeney?
Moving on to the bills list, Resolution 13622, approval of bills as signed and listed on the payment list. Can you please read the amount?
$189,849.75.
Are there any items that need to be pulled for discussion?
I wanted to ask about one thing, and I'm sorry, Nancy, I meant to email you this afternoon, so I apologize.
Okay.
It's item 37735. It was Steiner 450 tractor for $25,000. What
Yes.
is that?
That is, oh, actually, Brad can
Is that the
explain
back
exactly
of
what.
the new truck?
It is the
No.
little
What brand?
plow tractor that we use on this property and a few other properties to plow
Let the new
snow.
director explain what it
Oh,
is.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, so Brad can explain.
Brad, what's the Steiner?
Steiner is the tractor that sits up front here, if you ever seen the new walk by.
Mhm.
There was an older one, we replaced it with a newer model.
Okay.
So it was like 24 years old, so met its lifespan.
Okay, I just didn't remember talking about
And
it.
I think that's from last year's budget, isn't it?
That is from last
Yeah,
year's
that was
budget.
from last
Okay.
Purchase order from last year.
Okay, all right, great, thank you.
Okay, motion to approve Resolution 13622.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
roll call vote.
Councilman Caminiti?
Yes.
Council President Corigliano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Dietrich?
Yes.
Councilman Lemma?
Yes.
Councilwoman Murphy?
Yes.
Councilman Sweeney?
Okay, moving on to council reports, finance,
No report, Mayor.
sanitation and sewer.
Just one item with respect to the STAB shared sewer facility that we're participating in. There was a federal grant application that is being handled through Congressman Malinowski's office for $1.2 million to take care of some of the serious maintenance issues that exist at that facility. We did get an update that is moving in a very positive direction, so we're keeping our fingers crossed.
Super.
Good job.
Borough property,
Just very quickly, I have an update on the scout cabin. I spoke this week to Administrator Bretzker, and we decided that we're moving forward with the refinishing of the floors on the scout cabin. So hopefully we can get the display cases set, maybe to coincide with the park opening, depending on what the timing is on that. And we're still waiting to hear back from the insulation contractor, or we haven't heard back.
We have not heard back from them.
Okay. So hopefully, we're pushing, of course, to coincide with the reopening of the park. So stand by for that as the improvements get a little closer.
we're gonna put new wiring inside for the lights?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, has to be, electrical has to be done, yeah.
Good, okay. And then we'll do the dedication after it's the park, because I
Correct.
think that should be a
Correct.
separate.
It's a separate event.
GP, was the deterioration of the outside logs ever addressed? When I was property back when Rodney was DPW superintendent, he brought that to my attention, and the project's always been deferred and deferred.
Mhm.
And I know we
It's
talked
part of
about
the
it.
scope of work of sealing and caulking the outside, yes.
Okay, but I do think some of them were rotted and they needed to be replaced.
That is not a part of the scope, at least it's not envisioned for now. We can talk about it, but we have no costs or quotes for that at this time.
Okay.
So that's specialty work. I can certainly look into it and get some numbers together.
Yeah, needless to say, if the outside of the building isn't sound, it's certainly not gonna make the inside any more sound.
No.
It's
The
just
inside
doing
is
improvements to the
surprisingly
inside.
dry.
Yeah.
I'm
Understood.
just commenting, yeah.
Anything else on property?
No.
Okay, thanks. Fire and first aid,
No, no report.
police?
Nothing on police, but just Jamie on fire. Last Friday night, Councilman Lemma, Council President Corigliano, and myself were at the fire first aid
Okay.
dinner.
How was it?
And It was a great night. I wish I had the program with me because I'd like to acknowledge the years in service. But what comes to mind, Eddie Van Arsdale, 65 years.
I have the program if you'd like me to read it.
Sure,
Yep.
if you have it, yeah.
I have the program. So give me a second.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't.
Ron Hill, 50 years. Must be a typo. He's not that old.
I know. He started when he was 11.
Actually, you're right, because it's wrong, it's 53 years.
Did they at least spell your name right, Ron?
I have no idea.
It's such a tricky.
Okay. In acknowledgement, service awards. Edwin Van Arsdale, 65 years. Ronald Hill, 53 years, Ron? You said?
I don't know how they did it, that's what I
They
should
said they had
Well,
it here
this is
for
the first
50.
dinner since COVID,
Okay.
so
Yeah.
these
They
spanned
still
3
on
years.
probation, Ron, after all those years?
These are tremendous numbers,
Yeah.
tremendous numbers. Mark Fagan, 40 years. Eugene Russo, 40 years. John McDermott, 35 years. Kevin Neefsey, 30 years. Owen Duff, 30 years. William Harris, 25 years. Dominic Lorenzo, 20 years. Tom Schmoller, 20 years. Kevin Fagan, 15 years. Thompson Ross, 10 years. Kingsley Hill, 5 years. And Tyler Russo, 5 years.
That's phenomenal. Thank you very much.
First aid also.
And his
Okay.
first aid, yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting to that. So, First Aid Service Awards, 2021, Judith Fagan, 35 years. Amazing. Gail Moke, 20 years, 2020. Tom Scanlon, 20 years, 2022. Rich Beckhorn, 15 years, 2021. George Tiger, 10 years, 2021. Brianne Ballo, 5 years, 2021. Kate Conger, 5 years, 2022. And Valerie Zoller, 5 years in 2020.
Wow. Congratulations, everybody, and thank you.
Tom,
Yeah.
congratulations.
Nothing for police?
Nothing for police.
Sergeant Scanlon, since you're here, not to put you on the spot, but I know this weekend we had a big search in town. You want to just give a very brief synopsis on that, since it was very intensive on agencies?
Officer Nick Ortiz got a call for a missing person, 88-year-old female on Mosley Road. When he got there, he spoke to the individual's husband, who stated that she went missing while they were out guarding. Officer Ortiz was quick to notify county resources, county OEM, county search and rescue, K-9, fire and first aid, which initiated a search. Members of the entire police department did respond in to assist with that search. We also had other resources, Millstone Valley Fire Department with their drones to search from the air, along with K-9 units from Warren Township Police and Bound Police. After about 4 hours, the individual was located in the far part of the property. It's a 50-acre lot, wooded. Thankfully, the entire lot is fenced in. So she just was following the fence line and got tired and sat down on the property, and we eventually found it. And the first aid squad was able to use their RTV, their Kubota, to travel down the hill into the woods and pick her up, and subsequently got her off to Morristown Hospital. We checked out and everything was fine. She's okay.
Great job. I know search and rescue calls are extremely person power intensive and rough terrain, and they take a lot of resources. And with new Attorney General guidelines that towns are required to notify the county within 2 hours of a missing person, and then this county is notify the state, we're probably going to be seeing more events like this throughout the state and even in the town, because if a person's missing, very quickly they have to mobilize they have to make the notifications and probably notify all these resources. So great job to everybody, and it's always good to find somebody. As a member of the county search and rescue team, I wasn't there, but it's always phenomenal to find somebody alive, because a lot of times we don't find them alive. So great job by everybody, and thank you.
Mayor, I also forgot to mention the Suffolk County Sheriff's Department was also there with
Okay.
their search and rescue.
Thank you. Okay, roads and transportation.
Just very quickly, two quick items. Jackson Avenue is on the schedule to be restriped after all these months, so that should be happening shortly. And also, DPW is going to repaint the curb out in front of Coco Lux to prevent the parking there next to the crosswalk, and hopefully increase the sight lines for vehicle traffic coming up the roadway, so that people don't step out from between the cars into the crosswalk and cause accidents that don't need to happen.
Was there thought of putting hash marks or whatever on the ground besides just the curb, because people seem to ignore the
We're not
color?
allowed to touch the roadway. Our DPW team's not allowed to touch the roadway, but we can do it on the curb.
Okay.
We can certainly, change any colors that we want to the curb, but we can't touch the road without county approval, so.
Zoning and construction, nothing legal, Mr. Berger?
Mayor, Mr. Kerwin and I, primarily Mr. Kerwin, we've been working to resolve a number of the outstanding tax appeals. We will have our hearing date at the county in early June. The date has not been finalized. That's it.
Okay, administrator's report?
I do have a report today. The county clerk's office is going to do one of their outreach programs here in our building on June 25th, where they will come in with some of their members of the office. They will do passport applications, they'll do passport photos, they'll have some veteran services here for filing of the honorable discharge papers, Gold Star family IDs, voter registrations, they'll do vote by mail applications. They will also give the oath for any notaries that need to have their oath done. They'll do information on how to sign up to for property record notification services, how to search for the property records. They'll give information on how to run for office, complete a petition. They will also have some coffee and donuts here. And they are also this year combining this with the surrogate's office. So the surrogate office may be here, or they may just have pamphlets of what the surrogate's office will do from the county. But they'll be here June 25th. It's a Saturday from 9 to 12.
Okay, great, thank you.
Just get that up on the webpage.
Yeah, I'm just waiting. They're going to send me a flyer with all, well, now, I don't know when they're going to send me a flyer,
Yeah,
but
we have a little,
Put it in the mail.
yeah,
I'm sorry, what were the hours again?
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
Yeah, we have a little email issue problem at the county.
So they will, they
Oh my God,
will do
it'll
that, though.
A lot. Mayor's report, Memorial Day next Monday, 10 a.m. at the ball fields back here by the municipal building, because the park is under construction. We will be holding our annual Memorial Day ceremony. Our keynote speaker is Dr. Jeffrey Leary, who is a chief of orthopedics at Atlantic and also a Air Force combat surgeon veteran with 2 tours in Afghanistan. He'll be the keynote speaker. So very accomplished surgeon and saved a lot of lives while he was over in 2 tours. So 10 o'clock at the ball fields outside for Memorial Day. Moving on to public comments, 3 minutes per person, agenda items only. It's the policy of the Borough Council that all public comments on an issue shall be limited to 3 minutes per person, no debating between residents. Comments should be addressed to the mayor and council with the public microphone. Again, if anybody speaks, we need to have their name and address. So opening up to agenda items only, members of the public.
Time to get up, because he was going to do my meeting.
And my hip. I didn't want to mention that, but
Ronald
since you
Bill
did.
Gladstone. Don, reference to that change order 12, $14,800. Did he give you an itemized bill as to why it's so expensive?
Yeah, so there was an itemized list. One of the problems we have is all the work on site has to be prevailing wage, so that.
I'm aware of that. I'm aware of that.
The second item was the equipment he had to extend the rental for to dig the trenches. So normally he would have had that on site if this was planned correctly in the beginning, and now he has to bring that equipment back, so that was a portion of it as well. Now, adding all this together, could we have done the work less expensively if we weren't constrained by the myriad of New Jersey bid regulations? The answer is probably yes, but we can't because we're not allowed to.
In looking at your report that was on the computer about it, it says 6-inch schedule 45. Did he by chance give you a price per foot for that stuff?
Not a price per foot, no.
Well, did he give you a base price for it, for 180 feet?
It was a total, as required, it was not a breakdown, it was a total take it or leave it price.
Okay, and that 6-inch pipe is running into an 8-inch catch basin, apparently, I think?
The 6-inch pipe I think taps into the existing drainage system, which goes out to the pond, except for the atrium line, which goes directly into the pond. That'll be a new run.
Okay, so one more question I'll stop. Do you know whether or not it's perforated or solid pipe?
Solid pipe.
Then why does he need to put a sock over it?
I don't know.
Because there's no way water can get into the pipe. It's scheduled for it, it's glued joints, so there's no way that water can get into the pipe.
So I'll mention that Bill Ryden, the engineer, reviewed the plan and said that it was correctly done. In fact, he had made some changes. He went from 9-inch inlets to 12-inch inlets, 25-foot separation instead of 40 at ground level. Now, I am not a construction engineer, so I cannot comment on that.
Well, nor am I, except I use this stuff all the time.
Okay.
And we don't put socks over solid pipe. You know, that's to keep, if it's perforated, it's to allow water to go into the pipe, but keep the dirt and other stuff out of the pipe.
Ron, I don't know, and it could be in there. Again, the architect designed it, the engineer reviewed it, and that's the expertise that we have.
And I assume 13 is part of that, change order 13?
Yes, 12 and 13. It was broken down because we were going to look to see if we were able to rehabilitate the old catch basin that's been there for 50 to 100 years.
Okay.
It has a 50 to 100-year-old clay pipe, and after some review, it was decided not to try to.
Yeah, it's time to change.
Ron, I'm looking at the plan right now, and the sock is going over Schedule 35 perforated pipe.
Okay. There you go.
Okay, 35?
Yeah, it looks like Schedule 35 PVC, 6-inch.
Okay,
85 linear feet of it in one location, 48 linear feet in another location.
but it's scheduled 35. He has on the contract scheduled 40.
There's also Schedule 40
Okay,
that does not have a sock on it.
okay. But what scares me the most is when I look at the bottom line, we're up to 915,000 from wherever we started at 8-something. And it seems like, not you guys, but it seems like every time you guys have a meeting, Van Dyke has a change order. We're spending a lot of money.
Yeah. Well, we think we're at the end at this point. There were one or two aesthetic decisions that we made. Relocating the electrical service was
Sure.
was-
I just, real quick, I just happened to walk through there tonight. Well, there's still a lot of work yet to do.
Oh, yeah, there's weeks with an S worth
Yes.
of work to finish up there.
Ron, just so you know the whole picture, the park costs a lot more than that. There's soft costs that are
No,
not
I
even
know
built
that,
into that.
but I'm
And,
just seeing the line on the,
Just from the contractor, yeah.
yeah.
And if you remember, we got a competing price when the bids were received of over 100,000 more than what this contractor bid it for.
Yeah,
So,
thank you.
Thanks. Thanks. Anybody else? Anybody online? Nancy, is anybody online?
Nope.
Okay. All right, seeing nobody else with further comments, closing the public comment section, moving on to adjournment. Is there any further business? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting is adjourned. Next meeting will be June 14th, 2022 at 7 PM. Thank you very much for attending.
Are you aware they have a
I'm gonna
couple
put yours in
runs
there,
on
because someone's gonna get a DVD.
Yes, I did, yes, I did.
Put it in there.
That'll ever get that far down the box.
Yeah, no worries. You know.